Hi, my name is Dan O'Connell. I'm the co-founder of BrandLab Fashion. We are a virtual reality platform provider for the fashion industry. I've teamed up with the Fashion Network to share with you my thoughts on how virtual reality is changing the fashion industry. I hope they will prove insightful. In terms of the business, in terms of the use of digitalization and virtual reality, obviously huge shifts in the amount of companies who are using the type of tech that we provide. And that's exclusively down to lockdown and to the dreadful pandemic in some ways, because whereas maybe virtual reality in the past was seen as maybe a marketing gimmick or a nice to have, all of a sudden that certain companies were faced with a situation where they needed to have a solution. So there's been a big cultural shift in the people who are using virtual reality and other digital products. I think VR is something that is in some ways inevitable in the wholesale fashion industry. Even before COVID, there was big pressures on margins, lots of retailers failing, and inevitably the supply chain has to be squeezed. And in that supply chain, there's a huge amount of traveling that happens in wholesale fashion, from trade shows to showroom visits and fashion weeks and everything in between. So I think margins were being squeezed, and the use of virtual reality style technology was already becoming more prevalent. We think eventually that up to 50 or 60% of buy-in and fashion buying in the trade will be done by virtual reality, just because of sustainability issues and the costs involved in that amount of travel within the supply chain. So as long as the virtual reality product can be as lifelike as possible and can do what we at BrandLab do and enable face-to-face interaction through integrated video chat, as long as the product is really good, there'll be a much more increased use of this type of product. And I think that's been proven on some of our customers who have probably used the service because they had to because of COVID, but after having had to use it, have realized the wonderful things that it enables and actually the enhancement to the business that it can provide. It's definitely a disruptor. The fashion industry is one of those industries that its lifeblood is relationships, face-to-face relationships, touch and feel of fabric, meeting people at shows, at trade events, at showrooms. So it's a huge disruptor, just because by the very fact that it totally turns on its head the way the business is currently conducted. But with this disruption, there can be gains. I think the opportunities are endless, really, because at the moment, for example, we create VR showrooms for brands to allow their existing business to happen. So their existing buyers will go into our VR showrooms and speak face-to-face with a salesperson, walk around the showroom, pick their assortments and do their business. So that's a real good start that we've been able to kind of plug the gap created by COVID. Going forward, with all analysts suggesting that it'll take years and years and years to travel to get anywhere near to what it was, we can fill that gap. But I look at it as an enhancement. The other thing is as well, I think, is creativity and imagination. Again, when you build a showroom physically and you decide on your fit and shop fit, you're constrained by cost of what you can achieve. In virtual reality, using techniques that we do, such as CGI and digital design, you can create anything. We've created a showroom in outer space for a customer. There's no constraints on what you can create in the virtual world. I think first of all, because it is such a big cultural shift, as we discussed, we've designed our product in a way that it's very easy to use. So there's no apps to download. There's no specialist IT training. You effectively click a link, and we always say if you can use email, you can use our VR showrooms. I think in terms of getting ready for it, though, because buyers won't be able to touch and feel fabric, or consumers on a B2C model, I think thinking about the quality of imagery and the type of things you can do to insert assets into a virtual reality showroom. If you're saving money by not needing physical space, the better the imagery, the better. 3D digital design is very expensive, but very, very effective in virtual reality environments. So I think just gearing up on the imagery and thinking about, you know, the better the imagery, because the richer the assets that we can put in a virtual showroom, the richer the virtual showroom. Thanks for listening to me, and thanks to the Fashion Network for helping me share this. If you have any queries, comments, or questions whatsoever, please leave them in the comment section. And if you'd like to get hold of me about anything, you can do so. My link to my bio is either above or below, depending on which platform you're viewing them on. Many thanks again.